All-America candidacy, the way she played. What does it say about her to do it, what she did tonight, against an All-American, and what kind of impression do you think that makes on people?
Well, there isn't anything that she hasn't done since the season started. Today was just another example of it, in a lot of different ways. Whether it was, foul line jump shots or drives to the basket or putbacks and free throws or defense, and like there isn't an aspect of the game where she's not playing at an All-American level. I mean, if anybody needed any proving, tonight was certainly indicative of that.
She's even diving for loose balls on the floor up 35 points tonight. What, do you have to sometimes tell her just back off a little bit, just the way she rolls?
Yeah. Yeah, no, they play with an aggressive mentality. And it just doesn't go away, the entire time that they're out there, which is, a little bit surprising to me because they don't get a lot of, they don't get a lot of breathers. So, for them to be able to go, the way they've gone and how long and to be that effective, I think that's, maybe the more you play, the better condition you are, the better you're able to play long minutes. I don't know, but yeah, I worry about them getting tired. I worry about them getting hurt. I worry about everything every day. But they're going to play the way they're going to play, and that's it.
This team obviously looks completely different from what you expected at the start of the year, but to have Aaliyah and Lou really lead the way offensively, what does that say, not just about their skill set, but the way they've been able to step up, even being so shorthanded?
It certainly is a different team than what we had envisioned. Back in June, we had all these grandiose ideas in June of what we could do and what lineups we could put out there and who we could play at what position and how we could move them around depending on the game. And then all of a sudden you're left with very, very few choices. And people that have to respond every single game without any safety net, like you can't afford to have like a really bad game against a good team. So Lou and Aaliyah, I don't think have had a bad game since game one. And that, that's a sign of leadership too. That's a sign of maturity. They know what's expected of them. They know what's at stake, and they embrace it. I don't know what Lou had today. 20. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for us to score 94 points and only make 4 threes. It's not easy to do.
You talk about the other part of your front court, Geno. It seems like Dorka is really coming on pretty strong right now. 1 rebound away from another double-double tonight, 19 points. She's just playing very well at this point.
They've got a really good connection. They've got a really good chemistry. they're both pretty good at finding each other, her and Aaliyah. You know, and when those threes are falling for Dorka, it's could be a 25 or 30-point night. But she's getting better and better in the lane all the time, and more trustworthy every day. And a couple drives by Aaliyah were really plays she couldn't make a year ago. So there's been a lot of maturity on their part, you know. They stay grounded, you know. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. Like I said, I don't know that I expected it to be like this tonight. I mean, I know they're struggling too. It's, you know, it's not a normal DePaul team that we played tonight.
Can you talk about how hard your defense plays? I mean, you're shorthanded, so they can't expend all their energy. You don't want them to get fouls, and you're just playing outstanding defense at this point, certainly tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this team pays attention most of the time. For the most part. There's still times that make you scratch your head. But they pay attention. Pay attention to what the game plan is. You know, who has to be guarded which way and who doesn't have to be guarded. You know, and when you challenge them, they respond. You know, Aubrey is acting like every ball that comes off the rim should be hers. And nobody can keep her from getting to the basket off the dribble. And that used to be like a sometime thing, once in a while, whatever the case may be. And it's become a common occurrence now. You know, 5 offensive rebounds. You know, I remember saying to her, you know, you should be thinking, because you're always on the perimeter with these two big guys, when somebody shoots, when you come flying in there from all angles, wherever you are, they can't find you to box you out. It's not like you're hanging around in the lane and they can see you. So she's just, you know, between her and the two big guys in our guards. And Lou's gotten better defensively, and Nika's always been Nika. And they're smart, you know, we don't commit dumb fouls, mostly. And we had yeah, I know what, you know, I hate to signal anybody out, but the game was officiated like a basketball game today. It wasn't officiated like a girls' basketball game. It was officiated like a real basketball game. Kids were allowed to play. They knew what was a foul. They knew what wasn't a foul. And they played accordingly. It's a breath of fresh air there.
Where have you seen Amari's confidence grown since the Seton Hall game?
I think just I think a realization maybe that if I want to play and I want to play more, I have to do more on a regular basis, you know? And so that's happening more regularly. It's, as I said, I've said this before, you know, it can be frustrating watching Amari play because she has, you know, so many skills that most post players wish they have at 6'5". But, it's got to be on a regular basis. And maybe she's realizing that if I do more on a regular basis, I'm going to play more.
20 turnovers tonight. Is that something fixable, or is it just something you got to deal with as the season goes on?
Is it fixable? Obviously not. It's hard to describe some of the turnovers that we have. And I talk to them, and we do stuff at practice, and when you try to explain it, we scored 94 points today. And 20 times we had the ball. We didn't get a shot at the basket. And they're not even good turnovers. Most of them. Just bad. Dumb. And again, it's that over-aggressiveness that carries over from the defense, thinking that I can make any pass. Or, post player catching the ball, I guess, and a kid coming right behind him and taking the ball. Almost like expect them, I can't do that. So, yeah, some I can't explain.
Geno, what do you hope Gianna gets out of coming here early? And can you kind of explain what the ins and outs are, what the rules are, what she can do, what she can't do this season? Is there a possibility she would play if you get down to 6 again, or what's the deal there?
Well, she can do anything anybody else on the team can do. She's in class. She's is going to come to practice and doing all the things that we do. The only thing she won't be doing is actually seeing any game action. What are the rules? I don't know. They probably changed since this morning. I don't know. But generally, if you start playing now, you pretty much lose an entire season, almost, I think. Isn't that how it works? So the question is that worth it? Even though it may be worth it to us, is it really worth it to her? To use up a whole season, for February and whatever part of March? And how long is it going to take her to catch up anyway to what we're doing? So she's got a great future here. She's going to have a great career. And, little by little, she's going to get acclimated to our program and what we do and how we do it. And but as far as playing, it's not in the works right now. If she was a 5'11" guard, she might play more.
Geno, you said towards, the start of the season that you guys would go as far as your front court could take you. Just, what are your thoughts on, the level they're playing at compared to kind of what you were expecting and hoping for then?
Well, when when AZ was playing and Caroline was playing and Lou and Nika and Aubrey, I thought there really isn't much that we don't have covered in the backcourt. We probably could use, one more ball handling guard. I don't know. But when March comes around, our guards are good enough to make anything happen in March. But it's not going to be enough, and it's been proven the last couple of years that if we don't have the kind of post play that we're getting right now, on a regular basis, the season will end earlier than it's supposed to. So I've told them that enough times. And right now, they seem to be improving every day.
Hi, Geno.
Hey.
Since we won't see you guys before the Tennessee game, I know you're probably haven't thought too much about them, but what challenges do you think that Tennessee team poses, and where do you want to see your team step up?
The most challenging thing about playing Tennessee is the size factor, the athleticism factor, the crowd factor that's going to be down there, the circus-like atmosphere that surrounds a Connecticut-Tennessee game, even though it's not quite at the level, it's not the Beatles. So we're probably going to be taxed more so than we have with, their depth and their athleticism and their size. They're a really, really good team that was struggling to find their way early on, and they seem to have put it together. We have to handle the whole environment. It's not an easy place to play, obviously. But our kids are excited about it. They're looking forward to it. And we're going to come out of that game way better than I thought, or we got work to do. What? I'm done. Walk in here and for somebody who didn't even want to come, now you're bitching that I'm taking too long? I'm done.